afternoon, everyone. There we are. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I just got in Washington less than 24 hours ago, and I'm telling you what, it has been the time of my life. I've been sitting right up there with the Snohomish FFA chapter. Snohomish. Oh, my mistake. Snohomish FFA chapter. Are we up there, guys? Yeah, there we are. I've been hearing things like Waffa Waffa. Yeah, I tell you what, it has been a blast to be here in Washington. Now, I'm originally from West Virginia, and we got some West Virginia folks in the house. Yeah, there we go. Well, I tell you what, as national officers, we travel around the country about 300 days out of the year, about 100,000 miles. It is a crazy adventure during our year. Now, about the middle of January or so, we actually spent 2 weeks in Japan as a team. And I tell you what, it was an adventure like nothing else. There was about to be something happen to us that we would never imagine happen at the beginning of this trip, though. So there's one thing you have to understand about Japan. The culture there is very, very different. So much so that we had to have a guide with us. Now, how many of us have watched The Incredibles before? Yeah, a lot of us. Y'all know that little tiny lady that makes the suits? Edna is her name? Well, that was our tour guide. Her name was Chieko, and I'm telling you what, she was like the most fierce little tiny lady you could ever imagine. She would just walk right up to you, and she would just own everything in the room. She would just tell you how it is. She would let you have it anytime, and I'm telling you what, she was just a blast to be around. Now, Chieko was responsible for making sure that we were also everywhere we needed to be. So about the 4th day of our trip, we headed up to our rooms that night to get a good night's rest. And about that time, we got a text from Chieko that said, boys, need to talk to you. We thought, okay, so we tried to call Chieko, and she didn't answer her phone. So I thought, you know what, Chieko can wait till the morning. I decided to lay down in my bed. I rolled over and started to try to go to sleep. And about that time, I hear at my door, knock, 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 knock. I'm thinking, it is 10 o'clock right now. I have been on a plane for 16 hours. There's no way I'm getting out of this bed for someone knocking at my door. So I lay back down on my bed. I hear, knock, 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 knock. No way. So I get up out of my bed. I go walking towards the door, and I look through the little peephole. And I don't see a thing. I'm thinking, oh yeah, here we go. The Japanese are going to play the prank on the American. You know, way to go. So I lay back down in my bed, start to go back to sleep. And about that time I hear, knock, 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 knock. These people just are not very nice. So I go over towards the door, and I look inside this peephole, and I still don't see a thing. And about that time, I decided I would stand up on my tippy toes, and all of a sudden I seen little tiny Chieko down there. I'm thinking, oh, it's Chieko, better open up the door. So I open up the door, and here barges in Chieko, and here she is standing inside my room. My teammates Mitch and Brian are standing here, and I'm standing right here. And she looks at us, and she's like, boys, I got something to tell you right now. Now, she didn't have that West Virginia accent like I have. It was more Japanese than it was West Virginian. But she's standing there, and she's like, now, boys, we have got to be downstairs at exactly 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay, Chieko, well, I'm going to go to bed so that I can pull that off. And she's like, okay, well, get to bed and be down there at 6 a.m. So Chieko leaves our room. I lay back down in bed, finally, without hearing the door knocking, and take me a good night's rest. That morning, I jumped up out of bed, got my teammates, and we headed downstairs into the lobby. Chieko circled us up and handed us these tickets. And we're thinking, what in the world are these tickets for? So she hands us the tickets, and she says, boys, we're getting ready to go on an adventure. And what I did not know was that Chieko was exactly right about that. So we get all these tickets together. We get ready to head outside. And as we head out the street, we go walking towards the subway. Now, we had never been in the Japanese subway before, so we didn't know exactly what to expect. So as we go down towards the steps, we start stepping down the steps, and finally we arrive inside this little terminal. Now, as soon as we scanned these tickets we had to get ready to go out into the platform, it changed in an instant. And about that time, all these people just started swarming around us. As soon as those tickets were scanned, there were people everywhere. I'm telling you what, if you've ever been in like an SUV with about 20 other people, that was the feeling in this moment. So all these people are up against us, touching us, hitting us, just running into us each and every way. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is intense. And so we start walking through here, and of course, Chieko, being, the fierce little lady that she is, she just like plows through everyone like a snowplow in 10-foot drifts. It was the craziest thing to see. So we just start following Chieko, and finally we arrive at our platform. And as we start looking at our platform, we see there's a clock here that says about 20 minutes till our train arrives. So all these people are running around us and running into us and hitting up against us, and we're just kind of standing there thinking, oh my goodness, this is insane. And we're standing there, and I look over, and there were these gates that opened up. And as the trains arrived, the gates for the train would open up, and these other gates would as well. Now, there was something weird that was happening over in this area. There were these two police officers standing. Now, we had seen police officers in Japan before, but what we hadn't seen were these police officers with these white gloves. And so I'm starting to look at these police officers, seeing these white gloves, and I'm thinking, this is different than what we've seen before. So I start kind of plowing my way through all these people, and I get over to Chieko, and I'm like, Chieko, these police officers over here, they're wearing these white gloves. What are they for? And Chieko, in the most casual way you could ever imagine, she doesn't even look at me. She just goes, oh, those are the people that push people onto trains. Say what? We had to stop right here, because I don't know about in Washington, but in West Virginia, we don't push people onto trains. That's just not polite. And we don't do that. So I said, hold up. Chieko, please explain what in the world is going on, girl. And she looks at me and she's like, well, Wes, when the trains arrive and the gates open up, these are the people that push people onto the trains. Oh my gosh. I did not expect this when I woke up this morning. This is not what I asked for. So Chieko's like, boys, see that clock right there? When it gets 0, we are dashing on that train, and we are getting inside of it. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So all of our teammates are gathered up. We're starting to see this clock, 10, 15, 10, 5, 1, 30 seconds left. We start making our way towards the platform. It hits 0. Instantly, everything changed. The gates open up. We start trying to get into this train. Everybody's coming in. People with the white gloves, shoving people. More and more people come in. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And finally, the doors slam shut. And we start taking off towards our next destination. And now, normally in a train, you usually have to hold on to something to make sure like you don't fall when you go around turns. Not in Japan. You just lean on the people. So as you're going along, it's just like this ocean of people going back and forth, around a turn and around the next one. And it is the craziest thing in the world to see. So as we're standing there, I didn't even think anything about that experience. But as we get to our final destination, the doors open up, we all fall out. It was kind of like a clown car at that moment. We all fall out of this car, and we head up to have our meeting with the Assistant Minister of Agricultural Education for all of Japan. It was crazy. Now, I didn't think anything of that experience at the time, but on our last night in Japan, we sat down with Chieko, and we were all sitting together, and we asked her for some of her wisdom. You know, a 57-year-old Japanese lady, she's got to be full of something. So we're thinking, we'll just ask her. So we look at Chieko and say, Chieko, we get to meet with a lot of people this year. What's some wisdom that you'd like to pass on to us? And, Chieko's just sitting there, her legs are crossed, and she just looks like Edna, from The Incredibles. She just looks at us and she's like, well, do you remember that experience on the train? And we were like, well, yeah, Chieko, we know exactly what you're talking about. Well, that's a good metaphor for life. She looks at us the most sincere way you could ever imagine. She says, boys, you have to get on the train. And that's so true. We have to get on the train of life. There's a lot of times that we go through life, just like in that train, that are not comfortable. Being up against all those people was not the most comfortable thing for us to have happening in that moment. But you know what? If we hadn't gotten on that train and hadn't been uncomfortable in that moment, we would have never gotten to meet the Assistant Minister of Agricultural Education. We would have never gotten to hear his experiences and talk about education in the Japanese culture. If we hadn't gotten on that train and chose to be uncomfortable, then we would have never learned a thing. And the thing is, here at convention, it's the exact same thing. There are so many incredible opportunities for us right here, right now, over the next few days. But you know what we have to do? We have to make that choice to get on the train. And if we don't, that train's going to pass us up, and we're not even ever going to get to our final destination. As we get ready to leave this session tonight, let's make that conscious choice to choose to get on that train, to try something new, to go meet new people, to do things that we never thought we would do when we set out this morning to arrive at convention. Washington FFA, I challenge you to get on that train and have an awesome experience here at convention. Thank you.